welcome back to Asia Now. My name is Alex, and in this video I'll tell you about 4 Americans being denied entry to the Philippines. Find out why. Philippines president meets with the Vietnamese prime minister. Chinese ships fire water cannons on a civilian boat in the Philippines once again. Philippines University is ranked very low in the world for the second year. A tourist body found inside of a shark. Plus much more. Let's start with our exchange rate. Right now there's a fruit fly in my... Right now, the peso of the USD, $1 equal to 56.8 opening and actually closing at over 57 pesos per the dollar. Let's jump straight into our Americans being denied in the Philippines. The Bureau of Immigration reported the interception of 4 American PDF files who were barred from entering the country for being convicted of offenses. In a statement, the commissioner said that all of them were caught at the Naya airport on separate dates since mid-September when they arrived and sought admission as tourists into the country. The commissioner said that all the Americans were immediately excluded and boarded on the first available flight to their ports of origin. I quote, "They were turned back pursuant to our immigration law, which provides for our outright exclusion of foreigners who have been convicted of crimes involving moral turpitude," the BI chief explained. Last September 13, BI personnel turned back at the Naya airport a 70-year-old Terry Christ Peterson, who arrived aboard a Cathay Pacific flight from Hong Kong. Peterson was convicted in 1992 by a court in Wisconsin on charges of assault on a second degree, wherein the victim was not yet 18 years old. On September 19, 71-year-old Richard Allison Boyce was intercepted at Naya Terminal 1 after he arrived from Japan Airlines from Tokyo. He was convicted in 2009 for possession of content, people not of 18 yet. Intercepted last September 24th was Kevin James Burden, 56 years old, who flew on board Cathay Pacific flight from Hong Kong, who was convicted in 2021 on 2 counts of same kind of stuff. Basically, the latest to be turned back was Rodney Wendell Mathis, 59 years old, arrived October 3rd via Thai Airways from Bangkok at Naya Terminal 3. He was convicted in 1997 for engaging in lewd acts with someone that was not 18 yet. They've all been blacklisted and barred from ever entering the Philippines. Good. So people like this do not belong in the Philippines or any country that say, come on, you're an adult, deal with adults. Let's go into our next story. Next up, the Philippines and Vietnam are strengthening their partnership, especially in areas like maritime cooperation and defense, as they face increasing tensions with China over the South China Sea. During the ASEAN Summit, Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh discussed the progress in building stronger ties and agreed to explore new areas of cooperation. Both countries have already taken steps such as conducting joint Coast Guard exercises and negotiating defense agreements. These developments come amid a recent incident involving Chinese vessels clashing with Vietnamese and Filipino boats in disputed waters. Despite Vietnam's generally strong relations with China, both nations are enhancing their strategic partnership to address regional challenges. Speaking of which, yet again, Chinese vessel fired water cannons on a civilian resupply ship in that region. So let's see what happens with this partnership, with all the previous partnerships, with all these coalitions, whether anyone's going to step up to China and what they're doing in the waters. Next up, in some news from Cambodia, a search is underway for Angelique Tong, a 26-year-old South African teacher who disappeared in Phnom Penh, Cambodia after a date with a British man named Jack. She was last seen on September 29th after having dinner at a parlor restaurant, Harry's Bistro. Since then, Angelique has not been heard of and her phone remains off. She was supposed to return to work on October 7th, but did not show up, prompting concern from her colleagues and friends. Angelique is described as having blonde hair, hazel eyes, and a Khmer script tattoo on her right forearm. Wow, I hope that someone finds her. Hopefully she's still here. Yeah, that's kind of sad and scary if you're someone just trying to date out in the world. Let's go back to the Philippines in Cebu. I quote, "I don't think we should be named or branded as Singapore."
Because I've said, no, I want Cebu City to have its own identity. Cebu City is not Singapore. In fact, we have been longer as a civilization compared to Singapore.
Because we are Cebu City. End quote. This was a statement from Cebu City Mayor Raymond Alvin Garcia during a press conference Wednesday, October 9th, when asked about the continuation of the, quote, Singapore-like Cebu City program initiated by former Mayor Michael Rama, who's suspended right now. We've talked about him a couple of times if you watch the show. Yeah, he is the mayor that wants Cebu to be basically Singapore, and now this new mayor that's been taken over because he was suspended, he's saying we don't want that stuff, we want our own identity. I strongly agree with that. I mean, Cebu is very, very far away from Singapore, and I think it's better to have small steps, small goals, attainable, achievable goals. Will Cebu ever become like Singapore? I don't know, but it's definitely not going to happen in Michael Rama's term, especially being, yeah, let me just leave it at that. Let's go on to our next story. And some excellent news for the Philippines. Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, and the Visayan Islands and Siargao have been named among Asia's top islands in 2024's Condé Nast Traveler's Reader's Choice Award. That's fantastic news. Last year, Philippines Islands did really good on this particular magazine's rankings. Speaking of rankings, let's go into our somewhat not so positive rankings for the Philippines universities. Philippines universities keep low spots in 2025 the World University Rankings. After last year's steep decline, most Philippine universities remain in their lowest ever spots in the 2025 Times Higher Education World University Rankings, according to the results released on Wednesday, October 9th. The country's top two schools, the Ateneo de Manila University and University of Philippines, have stayed in the 1,200 to 1,200-500 bracket, respectively, matching last year's ranking. I don't know nothing about universities or rankings or how they do these things, but I guess the Philippines education system needs some catching up to do if they want to rank in the top 100 or 1,000 universities of the world. And next up, an 82-year-old Swiss man, Kurt Fritz Lolliger, was arrested in Phuket, Thailand International Airport on October 7th after security found a Thule in his luggage. During a routine x-ray scan, the Thule, I don't know what else to use for this word, but the GAT, a short-barreled Astro model, was discovered at Gate 81 by security officers who immediately alerted the police. Lolliger was detained and handed over to the Saku police for further investigation. The authorities are unclear about how he obtained the thing or what his intentions were with it. The incident has raised concerns about airport security, with officials emphasizing strict policies against carrying such things in your suitcase or luggage. You cannot bring those things in a suitcase, people. 82 years old, you should know better. Staying with tourists abroad, a 68-year-old U.S. tourist, Colleen Manfore, is believed to no longer be alive after body parts matching a woman were found inside a shark caught near Timor-Leste. Manfore went missing on September 26th while diving with friends off Pulau Riong Island, Indonesia, after being swept away with strong currents. The search lasted 8 days before being called off. The shark, caught by fishermen 75 miles from where she disappeared, contained parts of diving gear. While authorities are investigating whether the remains are Manfore's, some friends dispute the shark attack theory, suggesting she likely just passed away from medical issues. Shark attacks are rare in the region, with only 11 unprovoked incidents since 275 years ago, apparently. That's a long time. Shark attacks are extremely rare from what I understand. Also, it seems unlikely, for me at least, maybe not, I guess initially I thought it was like a whole thing inside of a shark, but I guess if only parts and then the scuba diving gear that matched perhaps the same one that she was wearing, I guess it's likely, maybe possible, but perhaps something happened to her and the shark just came upon it and took some bites. Let's leave it at that. I don't want to be disrespectful to people passing away. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think happened. Do you think the shark theory, or do you think maybe something else happened and the shark had a bite afterwards? Any of the stories I covered, leave your thoughts down below. If you take your time to write it, I'll take the time to respond. And now it's time for a segment called Yesterday Today, where I take a look at our most popular comments regarding our previous video. Jim Van says, I think you're the best YouTuber, very honest. The Dumaguete boys are liars. Well, thank you. First of all, I really appreciate that. I think by Dumaguete boys, you mean some of the most popular expat vloggers in Dumaguete. I'm not particularly sure what you mean they're lying about. Please write them down below, because if you're saying generally, I don't really watch other YouTube channels just because it's not what I do. But I have interviewed both Mark, Paul, and some of the other guys that were there on my main channel. I don't know them personally, but from what I saw, they seem normal to me. But I really want to know what you consider lying or whatever, because maybe I can address them if I know anything about it. I'd love to get some feedback regarding that. Let's go ahead into our next comment. P-Town Report says, Alex, I live in Tampa Bay. I have family to the south in Sarasota, which is supposed to take the direct hit. They are calling it the 100-year storm. I really appreciate you mentioning it. I was surprised. Thank you for sharing that story, and I'm glad to mention it. This was regarding the hurricane category 4 or 5. I can't really recall at this point. It's supposed to run through Florida. I hope everyone's safe. It's supposed to actually land today. So yeah, a lot of people being evacuated, leaving the place, and hopefully we have very few casualties. Red Bart says prayers or cross fingers for those caught in Hurricane Milton's path. Definitely, Red Bart, I agree. Happy, retired, and healthy says, YouTube, Facebook all play games. Never tell you what you did against their standards. Yeah, this was in regards to yesterday's video being demonetized, or the day before that. And I asked you guys to tell me what your thoughts are and why that happened. And I want to read one more because it's my personal favorite from Griffin, who says, I was excited for today's post as I figured my comment would be featured. Thanks for sharing the news each day. I finally made the last segment. Have a great day. Hey, Griffin, thank you so much, man. Look, you made the featured comments once again, so thank you for always watching and sharing your thoughts. And if you guys enjoyed this video, take a second out of your day, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. It really motivates me to make these videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.